People who performed sexual favors in school or in the workplace to get ahead. What was it for? And what are things like now? In the 90s, I had an affair with the woman who hired me at a startup.com. I was 24. She was late 40s. I had graduated with a degree in philosophy and was running a blog when she hired me as a copywriter/graphic artist, a position that I was not qualified for. She installed me next to her office on the floor below sales, a basically deserted space where we were alone all day. We had sex at work several times, but mostly kept our activities to her place. She also found me a nearby apartment, arranged for me to live in a motel until it was ready, and involved herself in other aspects of my life. She was not an attractive or pleasant woman, and the nature of our relationship was transactional, at least at first. I also worked my ass off, so I wasn't coasting just because I was fucking her. Anyways, the company went bust just 9 months after I joined. By then, I had been promoted to content development and had the 4th highest position in the company. I was also basically living with this woman who had turned out to be possessive, delusional, and overall nuts. When the company folded, she started talking about us moving to another startup and getting married. At that point, I ended it and went to grad school instead. I was the opposite of this. I had a one-time thing with a woman who turned out to be a professor of mine the next semester. We just never brought anything up. Used to blow my boss every Thursday. We had sex once. It was just a part-time retail gig, and I got a bigger raise than my more deserving co-workers around the time it started. Actually felt pretty bad about that. I wasn't a lousy employee by any means, but my one co-worker seriously busted her ass and got a smaller raise. But he always let me go home early if we weren't super busy. That was nice. Edit. Well shit. I'll try to answer questions later, but I gotta go to a different job now. Sadly there is no one to blow at this job, though a few have tried. In the late 90s, I got hired to be a phone agent for a distribution and import company. The job was to take incoming orders. It paid $22K a year. Within the first week I began sucking the owner's cock on the regular. He was married. I was a young gay male. I was there less than a month before the marketing director announced her pregnancy and intent to quit. When the baby came to be a stay-at-home mom, the owner promoted me to her assistant to learn the job, gave me a raise to $35K, and when the marketing director left 7 months later, I got a job and a raise to $58K. I continued to blow my boss once or twice a week for 5 years, and by the time I resigned, I was earning $70K. What are things like now? Now I'm married to a dude. I went back to college to earn my PhD, and I spend all day reading, writing, and getting high. Worked in a warehouse 10 years ago. I had the most physical job there, constantly slagging around 130 pound plus product by hand, so I was reasonably jacked. After about 4 months there, my job was automated at every other warehouse we owned, but the office manager seemed to like looking at me, and I beat the robots in efficiency and accuracy, so she kept me around. She asked for my help moving some heavy shit one day in her office at the end of the day, and I didn't think anything of it. Shoulder was really sore that day, and she noticed me favoring it, so when I was done, she told me she used to work as a massage therapist and offered to help my shoulder. Literally thought nothing of it until 3 minutes into the massage. Her hands were no longer on my shoulder, instead, on my junk. She was reasonably attractive, and everyone else had left for the day, so I took advantage of the situation and fucked her brains out. 3 days later, I got a $3 an hour raise. The company was 4 months into a pay freeze. Her justification: I was beating the robots. We fucked a few times a week, and I got an extra few days off a month, paid, because she was concerned about my shoulder. I once matched with a lecturer on Tinder. Saw her out later that week at a bar, got talking, ended up coming back to mine. That happened twice more, and I got full marks for every piece of work I handed in, no matter how trash it was. Dated my professor, but not to get ahead or for favors. I was looking to hook up maybe a few times, but somehow got a fairly serious relationship out of it. Helped me in fixing an administrative problem. Postponed one pop quiz I wasn't ready for, but didn't tell me anything about the final. actually gave me some answers for an assignment in a different class, which saved me a lot of time. It meant gambling on not breaking up before I graduated, though, because I didn't want to risk retaliation. Not that I actually thought they'd do something to prevent me from graduating, but I didn't want to worry about it. So that was a major downside, but forced me to try harder, to work through relationship issues. Definitely a learning experience. My wife was an intern at a company. She fucked one of the managers on a daily basis. She got awesome grades. She ended up marrying him. It wasn't really sexual favors. I dated my boss when I worked at a certain childcare center. I definitely got some preferred treatment out of it. We weren't allowed to date for obvious reasons, so it was mostly a sexual relationship. I think the fact that it felt wrong made the sex hotter. It was some of the best sex I've had. That led to us pushing our limits, which led to us getting caught. By the time we were outed as being in a relationship, we were having sex at work. I was giving him blowjobs during my lunch break. Staying late for a quickie when no one else was there. I didn't do it for the preferred treatment. Just the sex. But I did get easier and more regular hours. Got to pick which classroom I was in, stuff like that. I met up with an ex from high school a few years after we'd broken up, and she explained how she'd pretty much slept her way to the top of British politics. She didn't go into too much detail, and I don't think she did it in a typically Machiavellian way, but she had an impressive CV in politics and parachuted out into the private sector. My impression is that she was simply attracted to powerful men and unashamed about bedding them. The fact that she was incredibly smart, ambitious, and beautiful without being so beautiful that people underestimated her made her journey possible. A co-worker of mine had a pretty solid setup. Years ago, when he worked for a catering company, he would get blowjobs from another co-worker often enough. I forgot which department she worked for, but the BJS always came with a burger and a milkshake. Lucky MF. I had my own business. Our largest contract was up for renewal. We were doing very well, so it should have been a shoo-in. But the woman who made the final decision was an insatiable sexual predator. So we drew lots amongst the management team and the loser shagged her. Not me, thank God. When I was in college, I worked in a little family-owned restaurant. The owner's wife was the manager, and well, she came on to me and we started fucking regularly. It was great because I got to call out whenever I wanted, leave early whenever I wanted, got all the good tables, good shifts, free food, unlimited smoke breaks. But all my coworkers hated me. And since she was married, I know I'm a piece of shit. I was young and stupid, and she was attractive. I knew we weren't going to be together, so when I met someone my own age at school and started dating her, she got really crazy, and I ended up getting fired for, I can't even remember now. I was fired for some stupid reason, but it was really because she couldn't bear to see me anymore. If I didn't want her, she would text and call me for months afterwards, and even showed up at my apartment a few times, and also lied saying I got her pregnant. She wasn't. She showed up at my new job and started a huge scene and almost got me fired my first week. So overall, 4/10 wouldn't recommend. I worked at a large company where a woman joined as a grad recruit straight out of uni, and within 2 years was the head of one of the departments and calling the shots. Answerable only to the CEO. Her career basically went uni, got a degree in a totally unrelated subject, joined the company, started banging the head of the department, and within a month was promoted to a senior position. Head of department left, she dumped him and started banging the CEO. Within a month was promoted to head of department. A number of people left because of it, but no one could say anything or they would be sacked. She felt invincible and treat people quite badly, and would rant and swear and be totally unprofessional about customers all the time. She was also banging another very high level people at the same time, lol, which caused untold friction in the office. A guy in university administration was busted for embezzling. He might have got away with it, except his co-worker/mistress noticed that the guy's co-worker/wife got a new set of D cups and demanded the same. So he paid for her surgery too, also with university funds. Rather than bust anyone, they simply pushed the embezzler into retirement and left the two ladies alone. They were also friends, So 4 years afterwards these two old crones could be seen showing off their earnings while smoking Virginia Slims like Bentley grills on a couple of rusted out K cars. If you ever wondered where your tuition money goes, well, that happened.